In this video, we look at how we can use spreadsheets to calculate the correlation coefficient. In order to do that, we're going to look at this example here, time and distance, time in seconds, say, and distance in meters. The equation for the correlation coefficient looks like this box here. N is the number of data points, the sum of the x times y's minus the sum of the x's times the sum of the y's, and so on. So there are a few things that we need here. So we're going to go ahead and start filling in all the bits that we need. So we need x times y. Well, here's the x value, here's the y value. So in this cell here, I'm just going to type equals, click on that cell B3, Shift 8 will multiply, and then I'll click on the y value, which is C3. Hit enter, and I get an answer of 2.1. If I now click my mouse over top of that little box in the right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, it'll turn to a crosshair. I can then drag that down, and I have the sum of the xy's. The x squareds are the x values squared, so I'm going to type equals, enter in that B3 times, I could probably actually do squared. I was going to do times B3, but we could do squared here. And again, same thing, click on it, move your mouse over the little square in the bottom right-hand corner, drag down, and then we can repeat for the y's. Here are the y values. So in this box, I'm going to type equals. I'll click on C3, we'll square it, hit enter, click on the value, mouse over the square, drag down. So now we have filled in the values in the table. We need the sums of all of these things. Sums. And so I'm just going to type equals the sum of B2 to B7. And again, we want the sums all the way across, so we can just highlight or click on the cell, move the mouse into the box in the bottom right-hand corner, drag across, and it fills in those sums for us. So we've got those in bold so that we can see them and don't lose them. What else do we need? I guess that's probably it. So let's start plugging into our formula here. So I'm going to do this into two parts. I'm going to do the numerator as one part and the denominator as the second, just to break it up a little bit. Maybe I'll extend this cell a bit. So the numerator here is equal to 5, which is the number of data points, times the sum of the xy's. So times is Shift 8. The sum of the xy's is this cell here, which is, in my case, D9. We will subtract from that the sum of the x's here in B9 times, don't forget the multiplication symbol, the sum of the y's, which is right here. So that is the numerator. Let's do the denominator. Denominator. It's not quite as large. We'll see if we can fix that up. Let's make that a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So the denominator is the square root. So in this box, we'll type equals. SQRT is the function for square roots. We need a set of brackets in order to get this bracket in here. N is 5 times the sum of the x squareds. Here are the x squareds. The sum of the x squareds is here. And then from that, we need to subtract the sum of the x's squared. So here's the sum of the x's. We want to square that. So Shift 6 gives us the caret for squaring. We can close that bracket. That's that first bracket coming to an end here. Notice that the original bracket is still open because we are still taking the square root. We'll open the second part of the bracket to get the second part of the denominator. So we need an n, which is 5, times the sum of the y squareds, which is over here, minus the sum of the y's squared. So here's the sum of the y's in C9. We want to square that, Shift 6 with a 2. And I think that is it. Oh, hang on. You know what I forgot? I forgot a multiplication symbol right in here. I told you earlier not to forget that multiplication symbol. When we write this out in math, we generally don't need a multiplication symbol, but the spreadsheet wants that so that it knows what operation to perform there. So I just stuck a multiplication symbol in between the two brackets. And we get an answer of 29.86636. So we're trying to find the correlation coefficient. And r is just equal to the numerator divided by the denominator. So equals, we'll click on the cell for the numerator, divide is the slash key, click on the cell for the denominator, hit enter, and we see that we get a correlation coefficient of 0.97. So this is a positive correlation. It's a very strong correlation, and we can see that based on our R value. I want to show you one other way that we can get the correlation coefficient. So we've gone through and we've made the table and we've done the calculations. The other way we can do it is by inserting a chart or a graph. So I'm going to click on the Insert Chart button at the top of the screen here. Oh, hang on. I'm going to deselect. When I did this before, it didn't actually do what I wanted to do, so I'm going to build my chart from scratch. So Insert Chart. I don't know why it's saying R there. Anyway, we'll fix that up. So for the x-axis, we want to edit this. We don't want cell A14. We want our x values to be the x-axis. So I'm just going to click on that first column. It highlights, says that we want B2 to B7. Click OK. The y-axis should be the distances. I don't know if I can grab, there we go. I'll just slide that over. So this series, we call that a series in spreadsheet lingo, is going to be, oh, we want to add a series, and our series is going to be the distances. So we'll highlight that column, click OK. And now I have a bar graph. I really want a scatter plot. So under the chart type, we'll choose scatter. And you can see the scatter plot there. It's showing something funny. This blue dot is probably that initial value here that we don't really want. So I'm just going to delete this. There we go. And so we can see that our graph is here. Fairly easy to see the scatter plot. So at t equals 1, we have a distance of just over 2, which is, oh, we can even mouse over and get those values. So we can see that all these values match up. And it looks like, oh, there's my last point right there. So just a reminder, here's how we can get the line of best fit. So click on Series, scroll down to where it says Trend Line. There is the line of best fit. If we scroll a little bit further under Label, we can have it show us the equation of that line of best fit. And the exciting part here is that if we check this box that says Show R squared, we get what's called the coefficient of determination. This is the R squared value. If we want to find R, we just have to take the square root of that value. So if we take the square root of 0.943, we will get 0.97108. So, and you can see that's really close to what we had. Certainly we had 0.97. So to 2 decimal places, we get the same answer. So there's a couple of different ways using technology that we can calculate the coefficient, the correlation coefficient.